kick this around. So you and I are being trained to act a certain way. And what I want you to think about, just one of many examples, you got dudes and you got gals here. You got dudes, you got gals. Or you got gals, you got dudes, however you want to fucking look at it. But when you bump into somebody, you and I are being trained to hesitate. Instead of saying, well, your name is Peter and you're a dude, instead of saying sir and things like that, you hesitate. You don't say it. Because it's not socially acceptable to assume somebody's pronouns. You and I are being conditioned. Why would we be conditioned to do something like this? Anybody? You don't hear it coming up. No one apparently is thinking about any of this. I keep stressing people don't have foresight. You and I are being conditioned. I want to keep stressing that because most people are just turning a blind eye to this and assuming otherwise. Well, it's just what society's doing right now. Just go with the flow. Anybody? I mean, focus or fold. I realize you're on the spot. But I want you to think about it. Why would this be? You see a gal. Oh, well, I keep having this happen in Portland where I do see a gal, whether you want to think of it as this or this. Usually it would be this. This would be a dude, typically speaking. But I'll step out of the way and I'll let them get on the bus first, and I'll get stared at. I'll get glared at like I did something wrong. I'll hold the door open for somebody and they'll fucking freak out. They will freak the fuck out as if I'm doing something wrong. Common courtesies. Keep in mind, if it was an old dude, I'd also let them go first. Things like that. If it's a kid, same difference. It's just how things are and how they should be, in my humble fucking opinion. Now, have you worked this out? Because this, again, is one of many examples. Over time, things are eroded and we are trained, normalized, in other words. Our masters get us through repetition and entertainment, but in this case, repetition and going along with the flow. You know, playing follow the fucking leader instead of thinking for yourself, drawing a goddamn line in the sand and saying there's this and that's that, because that's what reflects reality. Everything else is a game of make-believe. And that's a fact. It's not some wishy-washy fucking, oh, but they're spirit fucking creature and They're fucking, not twin flames, I forget what it's called, but people will start arguing that the Native Americans have 1 billion fucking genders and blah, blah, blah. Yeah, well, there's a dude and there's a gal, and that's how you make more Indians. It's just how shit works. Everything else is fucking retarded. Hopefully I thoroughly offended some of you out there who have bought into this. If you do see this, go fuck yourself, because you're a goddamn retard and you're contributing to a fucking agenda in place to subjugate us. To that point, the more you do things like this, the more you will bend the knee, the more you will yield or bow down, and the more you will be accepting of what by all rights should be innate, quote unquote, civil liberties, sovereign rights, natural rights, really. But you're going to be more accepting of, well, here's a goddamn bullshit mandate. I want you to think in terms of, and then build a fucking wall. Just build a fucking wall around this, because I want you to think about something outside of this wall, because you're not allowed to think about this anymore, because that no longer reflects reality. I want you to play make-believe out here. Something that doesn't reflect reality anymore. And I want all of you to buy into that. And that's what people are doing right now. Which means they're getting further away from what people would call source, so to speak, if you apply this to anything and everything that does reflect reality. Because what we observe again and again and again, dudes and gals, hot and cold, night and day, yin and yang, magnetism, electricity, sunset, sunrise, and the list goes on. You eat food, you take a shit. You inhale and you exhale. The ancients left us as above, so below, as within, so without. Because this is what fucking reflects reality. All this other stuff is just a goddamn fairy tale. It's an adult fairy tale for fucking retards. And there's no reason somebody who is using logic, somebody who's thinking for themselves, somebody who is truly a well-meaning and an intelligent being, somebody who is an individual, somebody who is utilizing, they're calling upon, what is it? What the fuck is it called? I almost wanted to say freedom of speech because I've been bitching about that too much. What I meant to say is free will. If you're using that, there's no reason you would overcomplicate this. If you were working a job, the last thing your employer technically would want you to do is build a bullshit narrative, build a bullshit, outline that doesn't reflect the task at hand. I don't know where I got cut off. The video randomly stopped. So what I was saying is the last thing your employer would want you to do is build a bullshit outline that doesn't reflect reality, because that means you're going to fuck up the task at hand. What you would do is you would use the principles of reality that do reflect reality, because that's going to yield results. Your project will come to fruition because it will sing to itself in a harmonious state, opposed to a disharmonious outline of fucking bullshit. Picture a bulwark again, a jurisdiction, concentric circles of nonsense, or nesting squares of bullshit. Again, this is one of many examples, and this is a big one. This is a huge one. And people have already bought into it. There's an entire generation, and mind you, it's bled into people who have been around longer than that, and they're too stupid to think for themselves and challenge this official narrative, which means this agenda has legs. It's in the programming, because anything that's well-financed and well-circulated, you can't fucking trust. Think about it. Who gave us these outlines? Who gave us this entertainment? It is in place to subjugate us. And down the line, it's only going to get worse because idiots are repeating this garbage. You will yield. You won't question these things. More nonsensical mandates that have nothing to do with... Technically, we don't have a constitution to worry about because Nazis were conscripted at the end of World War II, and the Republic technically fell during the Civil War and was finalized in 1871. But these are things that people don't understand. They're not concerned with. They're repeating other adult fairy tales that don't reflect reality. Voting matters. Taxes pay for roads. If you put on a dress and you're a dude, now you're a woman. I'm well aware that some of you out there who might see this want to be retarded. You might be identifying as autistic because you are technically dimmer than a fucking fill in the blank. If you can adjust your imagination cap. Now, what I want you to appreciate is we are binary creatures. Computers are based on zeros and ones. The same applies to you and I, because that's what reflects reality. If that wasn't the case, computers would not be based on a binary principle, and reality wouldn't be based on a binary principle, because computers are based on that principle that reflects reality. It's a shit way to put it. But imagine if you were a computer software engineer. Are you gonna throw all of that out the window and try to create something without using a binary code? No, because it wouldn't work.